face and listen to this voice. You are tuned in to the best kept secret in sports talk. I'm your friendly neighborhood smoking. You are officially on the hot seat. Y'all know we doing the hot seat, man. We set somebody's ass on fire. And we're going to talk about Florida State, so let's go ahead and dive into it, man. Paying homage to the ghost to my left and my right. Yeah, I came for the gospel, and I'm not going to hold it from you, baby. Listen, class is in session. Ding, ding. Listen, let's go. I'm start off with this. This punt return situation at Florida State, this shit got to be fixed immediately. Here's how you fix it. Somebody who knows coach staff, knows Mike, they know Coach Pap, send this to him. Send just this little clip. This is how you fix the punt return situation. You find one person. You get one punt returner, and you stick with that one punt returner. All this moving around and trying this person and trying that person, who the fuck do you think you are? Listen. See, here's what I think the issue is. You're having practice, you're trying these different punt returners, and it may look decent, it may look good. You coach them up, you get them out there in a real game situation, probably not even knowing that they're going to be returning punts. And I'm telling you, practice is one thing. When you got them live bullets flying past your melon and it's game time, it's a whole nother ball game. Things change. Your train of thought is vastly different from what it is in a controlled environment in practice. So I've probably watched and been a part of more football than an 18, 19-year-old kid has ever seen in their life. There are punt return rules, right? There are special team rules that I'm aware of. You don't field the punt inside the 10, right? There are game situations in which you must field the punt. If you wait for a fair catch, you can't go out and block as you let the ball roll behind you or whatever the case may be. These are things I've learned over the course of years. I don't expect a kid to know these things when they haven't done them consistently. The operative word here is consistent. I don't think punt returners are interchangeable. I don't think kick returners are interchangeable. I think you find one person who has a decent skill set and you stick with them. They're learning on the fly, right? If you would like to find something, if you would like to find someone who is going to start doing a good job for you, leave that one person in there and just deal with the growing pains and the bumps as you go along. We keep seeing different punt returners have the same goddamn issues that the other punt returner have week after week after week. And it's costing you, or at least at the very least, it's helping cost you football games. This shit has to stop. Get one person. Because if I'm Trayshawn Ward, and you're putting me in the game to field punts, which I don't think is a good look. I don't think what he does as a runner is what you would want from a punt returner, right? Not saying I think he's a very decent runner, right? I think he's pretty good. But not as a punt returner. There's a different skill set you want at that position. So if this is my first time, I'm in a hostile environment, I'm at Clemson, it's a tight situation, there's one thing I'm thinking of as that ball is in the air. One thing. Don't drop it. That's all I'm thinking about. I don't know where I am. I don't know what yard line I'm in. I've probably forgotten the score of the game. All I know that there are a bunch of guys screaming down the goddamn field at me. They are coming down with bad intentions. I'm thinking one thing. Do not drop the football. Better yet, I forgot. This is a punt. I ain't even got to catch this motherfucker. Hey, coach. Hey, check me out. Hey, we can turn it over. You don't understand how a person thinks when the lights come on, right? Like until a person is put in conflict or until a person is put in a compromising situation, you don't necessarily know how they'll react. So I'm pretty sure they've coached and they've had discussions and blah, 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 blah. You would like to assume that he understands how much time is left on the clock, how much time would trickle off the clock if you don't catch that football, and how many yards you stand to lose if you don't feel that football the moment it comes off the punter's foot, right? He doesn't do it regularly enough to have these things embedded and cemented into his brain. He hasn't done it enough. High school practice is not. I don't even know if he done it in high school. I'm just telling you, I know for a fact that he hasn't done it enough on this level for us to be comfortable and for us to be confident enough to say that he knows what to do in this situation. If you want somebody back there who is going to do an effective job, get one person, coach up that one person, and let everything fall in place. You cannot continue to have different punters and expect a different outcome. In most cases, that would probably work. You know what? This motherfucker ain't working. Let's get somebody else in here who gonna do better. Nah, not here. The only reason is because clearly these guys don't understand what a punt returner does, what their job consists of, everything that goes into being a punt returner. Some guys are probably just scared of the moment. It's kind of hard to gauge how soon the ball is going to arrive, and look at all the guys who are barreling down on you and whether or not you should fair catch it or not. That's a pretty intense job, right? That was the wrong. You could have done that shit at UMass, man. This was the wrong juncture into trying to break in a new punt returner. Stop doing this shit. Find one punt returner, coach up that punt returner, and live and die with the mistakes. I'm only saying that because everything you're doing prior to now ain't fucking working. All right? All right, I got that off my chest. I feel a little better. Let's talk about the game. So, last week I told y'all I didn't need Florida State to win. All right? I did not need them to win. I just needed them to look decent. I did not need them to get blown out by a team that isn't very good, a team that's far more talented, but at the same time they're not very good. That's what Florida State did. They went there, hostile environment, rival game, and they didn't get blown out. It didn't look good, but they didn't get blown out, and that's important. I told you all last week why I thought it was important. Those things still hold true. That said, Florida State should have won that football game. And if I'm being honest with you, I'm tired of saying Florida State should have won that football game. Didn't pick Florida State to beat Clemson at the beginning of the season. Didn't pick Florida State to beat Clemson last Saturday. Didn't pick Florida State to beat Clemson before the game started. What I'm telling you is expectations change. During the course of a game, once that game becomes winnable, you need to seize the opportunity and win the fucking football game. Florida State didn't do that. Now, officiating was piss poor. Officiating has been piss poor for Florida State for a while. And I saw somebody say this shit, and I could not agree more. You want better officiating, win more games. You'll get the top-tier officials that the conference has to offer. It's plain and goddamn simple. Officiating aside, Florida State had ample amount of opportunities to win that game, and they didn't. And because I think a lot of us were hoping that, this team is starting to learn how to win. 3-game win streak, maybe you get some best practices. Maybe you start to, I guess, get embedded in what winning consists of, and those things show off on the football field. Florida State hasn't turned that corner yet, but like I alluded to last week, you want to see this because at the very least, Florida State is on the right goddamn path. The very least, you know Florida State is making some traction, and Florida State is going to eventually get to where we want them to be. This was an important game, but Florida. I said it Saturday. If you're a Florida State fan and you're upset that Florida State didn't win this football game, that's okay. Be upset because Florida State should have won this football game. Um, when we were having a discussion a few weeks ago, I remember saying that you know what? Here it is. Call me crazy. Call me old fashioned. I like for my quarterback to be able to throw the goddamn football. That's it. That's it. No other reason why. I like for my quarterback to be able to throw the fucking football. Still holds true now. Um, I, and that's not saying that if Mackenzie Milton starts this game, Florida State wins. That's not saying if Mackenzie Milton starts the three previous games, Florida State wins. That's just saying that, and later on in that very show, I mentioned that you become too predictable when you are a one-trick pony, which is what Jordan Travis is, which is what that offense becomes. Become very predictable, and if you are very predictable, you are very easy to defend. So you get one of the best defenses in college football, and you get probably the best defensive coordinator in college football. You kind of cut your chances to win in half. Well, here we are, 3-5. We've lost, I'd say, at least 3 winnable games, and some of it is because, well, you know what? Let me just focus on this game. I think we all knew headed into this game that Florida State was going to have to make some passes down the field to win it. Who the hell thought that Florida State was going to be able to make passes down the field? Who? I'll wait. This is what happens when, you have a quarterback who only does one thing well. And I was interested to see the flow of the game. I was interested to see the sequence in which plays were going to be called, because you have to mix things up, right? Just because you think you do this well, that doesn't mean that the other team is just going to roll over and allow you to do the shit, right? They want to win too. So I'm pretty sure they've seen enough tape, they've game planned. And one thing it is very easy to do from a defensive standpoint is defend the run if that's all you're going to do. Doesn't mean you'll defend it well. Doesn't mean you're going to be efficient at doing it. It means that your job is easier. It's easier to coach for. It's easier to coach against. It's easier to game plan around defending the run. And it's not like Florida State has an elite offensive line, an elite quarterback, or elite running back. So that makes it even all the more easier to defend. So I was interested to see what Mike Norvell and Coach Dillingham are going to draw up in the passing game. It took forever. It took forever for them to start passing the fucking football, and that were just things I was looking for: wheel routes, screen passes, comebacks, slants. There, I wasn't looking for anything sexy. I wasn't looking for anything exotic. I just wanted the simple shit. The things that Clemson was going to give Florida State, because Clemson's going to come in and defend the run. And it took them forever. It took them forever to just start dialing up those plays. And, Travis had a little PTSD, as Travis normally has, and there are people who are divided about that. Some people think that, you've been in this system long enough, you've been a starting quarterback long enough, it's time to get rid of that PTSD shit. Then there are other people who are like, hey, listen, you try playing behind that offensive line and see how much PTSD you have, because the offensive line, for the most part, got their ass whooped, which is what we expected, right? So it's kind of hard to dial up shit downfield when you probably don't have the time to do those things. But again, there are ways you scheme up your playmakers. Florida State have playmakers? Okay. There are ways to scheme up your skill position players to get the ball, hopefully make some plays in space, things like that. And Florida State either didn't do it or they did very, very little of it. But again, this is why I wanted a quarterback who can throw versus just running. But I guess Coach Norvell doesn't believe we have those things on the roster, so you're left to deal with what you have to deal with. I didn't want to come to you all and talk for a long time. I just wanted to let you know that, hey, listen, Florida State is on the right path. But even though Florida State is on the right path, I think that game proved Florida State is on the right path. People still need to be held accountable. I don't think that just because they had a good showing and because they were competitive means you let people off the hook. That means player or coach, right? If you came into this game and you had a game plan and that game plan wasn't executed properly, somebody's on the hook for that. If you came into the game plan and this player was supposed to make these plays and you had a game plan in which it was going to showcase these players on either side of the ball and it didn't happen, somebody should be on the hook for that. What happens then when you put people in conflict? What happens when there are different situations and the wrong play is called, the block is missed, the pass is dropped, a read is missed? People still need to be held accountable. The reason why that's important is because that's the only way you keep getting better. So I'm not letting anybody off the hook for this win. Even though I didn't predict them to win, even though I don't think they're nowhere near as talented as Clemson, expectations change. Florida State should have won that football game. So moving forward, like I said last week, we are done taking steps backwards. All right? Done with that shit. I don't want to see any more blowout losses. I don't want to see any more incompetency as it relates to play calling, how you use your personnel. I don't want to see any more lackadaisical play, starting off slow. So I'm holding both parties accountable, players and coaches, even though I think that they've done better together as a unit, because you've heard me talk before the last 2 weeks about them marrying one another, them helping each other out, because for at least during that losing streak, they didn't. Well, here you see more of them getting along with one another. I don't mean like ha-ha friend and shit like that. I mean in the sense of there's a unit that we need to be in order to produce what we want to produce down the line. We see the marriage. The marriage is happening. That said, we can't take any steps backwards. Florida State doesn't need to get into a game and they lose simply because another team just whipped their ass. Nah, you've had your time for that. All right, you've had your time in which you know where you were learning, you were growing. You don't stunt your own growth. Don't get stuck in neutral. Continue to grow. That's what we need to see right now. Moving forward, rest of the season. I'm not worried about bowl games at this moment. I'm just worried about making sure that Florida State stays on the right trajectory that they've shown over the last 4 to 5 weeks. So the games that should be won, win them. I ain't no more victories. We came up short. Fuck that. Win. Because if you don't, when does it stop? When you have winnable games and you lose them, the excuse cannot continue to be we're almost there. We're getting over the hump. This is the hump. Right now, this is the hump. How you finish the rest of the season is going to tell us which way you're going. Are you going to fall backwards on this hump, or are you going to fall forward? So moving forward, I can't give you any more excuses. If you lose, you have better luck. You should lose a fucking game. Not, hey, listen, there were mistakes here. Fuck that. That's what you practice for. I don't want to hear that shit no more. I'm done with that. I don't want to hear no. I'm not saying they should win every game, but what I'm saying is, if you are playing a team like Florida, for example, I think Florida should beat Florida State. But I would expect that loss. I would expect the entire game to be consistent with what I believe, that Florida is the better team. That doesn't mean they should blow Florida State out. What I'm telling you is there shouldn't be moments in which Florida State has a lead late in the game or they lose it, or Florida State continues to shoot themselves in the foot and they lose a close game. I want to hear none of that shit no motherfucking more. I'm not saying I expect perfection. What I am saying is you get paid to do a job, and you've been telling people that, hey, we're on the right path, we're this far away, blah, blah, blah. Now is the time you show it. Clemson I said last week, what we needed to see was a close game. A win would have been great, but what we needed to see was a game in which Florida State looked like they can compete. Well, now that we've seen this, it's time to build off that. Kind of hard to build off a loss, but I think people with common sense understand where I'm coming from. You need to be able to build off the fact that, hey, listen, we went into a hostile environment against a rival and we almost pulled it out. So you know what that means? The next time we play them, we should beat them. The next rival, they need to come in and understand that you're not just gonna roll over us. Those days are done. If those days are truly done, we are about to find out. But it's all the time I'm giving you. It's all the time I got. As always, man, if you press play, I appreciate you. I sincerely do. If you took time out to come in here and kick it with us, man, I appreciate you through and through. I appreciate you thoroughly. I cannot tell you how much it means to me if you to give me your time. As always, man, like, share, and subscribe. If you think somebody you know would enjoy this type of content, man, shoot them the link. I'd appreciate it. The likes and the subscriptions do this channel a lot of good, so continue to do that for you, boy. As always, you can reach me at the Hot Seat 19 on Twitter. You can reach me at the Hot Seat 19 on Instagram. Get in them comments, get at me, talk to me, let's discuss. You know I'm always gonna get with you in them comments anyway. That said, man, who we play next week? I don't know, but you are officially off the Hot Seat, man. I'll get at y'all later. Y'all be good.